What's going on, everybody? Chris here. Thank you for watching Wicked Repairs. Today we have my Cub Cadet mower. It's an XT1 42-inch deck. Carburetor setup is going to be pretty similar for any Cub Cadet or a lot of mowers, depending on the airbox, the way it's set up and stuff. But a lot of these carburetors are similar, even on different models. Depends on the motors as well. This has the Kohler motor. Some may have Briggs & Stratton or whatever else you may have. John Deere, whatever. But whatever it happens to be, this is a Cub Cadet XT1, and I've had this thing for about 5 to 7 years, roughly, anyhow, and it's never failed me. And I went to go use it today, and it was bone dry because last time I used it, I basically drove it dry, and almost, there was a little bit in there, but I went to go get gas anyhow because I knew I didn't have enough to mow my lawn. So I went up to the gas station that I always get gas at, and they were closed. So I went to a different gas station, to Cumberland Farms up the street, and 5 minutes, 10 minutes into mowing, my machine started sputtering, and it wouldn't hold idle, kept dying, had to start it back up, and I would put the choke on, and it would bring it back to life. I'd shut the choke off, and it would run, put the choke on, and it would kept dying. So basically what happens is that the idle circuit runs idle at 3,000 RPMs, is dirty, and you know, when I put the choke on and it runs, and I shut the choke off and it dies, that's a telltale sign there of a dirty carburetor, a dirty pilot circuit. So we're going to get into that and clean this carburetor real quick. So here's the mower. It's very filthy right now because, well, I didn't wash it last time I used it, and I'm usually very good about that. And I've already been mowing for a total of about 10-15 minutes. So got a can of stable carburetor clean, and just because it's all dusty here, I'm just going to kind of spray this on there just to make sure no loose dust gets anywhere else. Not necessary, but it's something I like to do because it's cleaner. So I am going to get a rag too and wipe this down. Then we're going to spin this and this off. We're going to take the airbox cover off and inspect the air filter too, because to be honest with you, I've never replaced it. I've taken it out and cleaned it out a couple times, put it back in, but it's been a little while, so we'll have to check that out. I would normally do this inside, but I have a lot of things inside a little shed right now, so I'm gonna stay away from being in there. Doing it just out in the yard gives me a little bit more room, a little more area to work around the machine. Looks like we have a little bit more to take out here. There it is, the air filter came right out, which, as I suspected, is pretty darn dirty. So stuff flying around everywhere, so we'll give that a good cleaning. I don't think I have a replacement on hand, otherwise I would just replace it, but I'll give that one a cleaning, blow it out with the compressed air, but I'll probably order a new one anyhow. And there is a little other filter inside here too. I'll do the same thing with that. Look at that, very dirty. So now we're going to start to take everything off. You can see the carburetor is right here. This is the bowl here, and you got the fuel line coming in here. There is no fuel shut off on this. If you have a fuel shut off, I would definitely shut off the fuel. I do not, so I have a pair of these hose pliers, and yours may be plastic or whatever they're made of, but I'm gonna pinch that off there, cut the fuel supply to the carburetor. I'm gonna take this off and the air box off, and I'm gonna take that fuel line off of where it goes into the carburetor, put a little container underneath there so you could collect the fuel that dribbles out. Won't be too much, but there will be some. I'm going to start by taking the two 10mm bolts off right here. Or nuts, actually. They're not bolts, but they're nuts. I'm going to remove these. Then on top of here is an 8mm bolt. I'm going to take that off. Sorry if you can hear the music in the background. My neighbors playing very, very loud music, and yeah, so you might hear some music in the background. But I'm going to take this 8mm bolt off here, And then it's almost out now too. Then in the very front here, if I can get close enough, see there's a couple of breather hoses, one right here and one right here. We're going to remove that off of this airbox cover, and then the airbox should be able to come right off. So the next spot here, this is the hose, by the way, that connects to the front lower portion of the airbox, and then the other side of the hose that comes off the airbox goes right into the valve cover there. Just a little crankcase breather. Anyhow, before I do anything else to this, I'm going to spray it down a little bit with carburetor cleaner and spray it with compressed air and inspect a couple of things. This is a fuel shutoff solenoid here, and it does feel actually very warm, so it's a possibility that maybe this is getting stuck, and that's what my issue is. But a lot of times when I do these, especially on my own machines, and I'm not, I'm just trying to get it quick and get it done, that way I can get back to mowing. Sometimes I just pop off the carburetor bowl and I clean through it this way, and I don't actually even remove the whole entire carburetor, leave all the linkage together and stuff. 9 out of 10 times, or even better ratio than that, that's all it really needs, to be able to do this. So I try to do things as quick and easy as possible, but make sure it's done right also. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to inspect these wires, which so far they look good. Ground wires attached good, the connectors attached properly inside here, so I don't see an issue, but just to be sure, I want to inspect that. So of course inside here where the flat parts are, it's like a 12 or 13 millimeter. I think it's 13 millimeter. However, I didn't have one that fit in there, but I had a real crappy wrench from a like a motorcycle toolkit, 12 millimeter, and I ground it down really thin to be able to fit in here, and I ground down the inside a little bit, and we got it moving. So I'm gonna pop that off real quick. Well, it looks like this may be my problem. I just looked at this wire here and check it out. That's your fuel solenoid shutoff, and this wire is really loose. It just came right out of this connector. When I went to go test this thing, I said, holy cow. So that could be my problem right there, and this could be your problem as well. But just for the heck of it, I'm going to pop off that carburetor bowl, just because it's never been off in the lifetime that I've owned this. So we're going to repair this wire, this pin in here, as well as just check out the bowl and clean it out. And I wouldn't doubt if this is due to stress from the wire, the way that they tie these up from factory, because they have a cable tie on here right around where the fuel solenoid shutoff goes, and it pulls stress on this cable. So with corrosion and washing it and over time, yeah, I think it's pulled out enough just to make it so that it's working and not working. When I'm hitting bumps, it's probably shaking and moving. Alright. Well, that black piece is a little piece of gasket, but the rest, that is bad fuel for sure. You can see some water in there. You can see the separation from the water. You can see a lot of debris. So awesome. Lovely ethanol fuel. Alright, so we're going to get rid of that. We're going to clean it up. We're going to clean up and inspect in here. Yeah, it's definitely a little grungy. That's the jet right there, that brass piece right in the center. A little circle. And we're going to clean through all that, put it back together. Okay, so I never took this off, and what I did was I took my stable carburetor and choke cleaner, and I put it inside this port and this port, and I put it in this jet and underneath here, and I sprayed through all of those 4 jet areas, and I sprayed a tiny bit inside of where the fuel goes. This pin unfortunately is very seized up. I can't move it, and one time, probably about, I don't know, 18 years ago, I went to take one of those free, and I broke this little piece of the carburetor. So I'm going to try to avoid that, so I'm going to leave it alone for now, and basically everything's moving on the float and the needle properly, so I'm not worried about that. I don't think the needle is dirty, because you can see it moving freely and it looks in good condition inside there. So going to leave that alone for now. And one of these days when I don't really need to mow, or when winter time comes, I'll probably take this carburetor off completely and kind of spray that real good with a penetrating lube and get that pin out for, you know, future repairs or issues I may have. But you can see even the jet looks nice and clean in there. Sprayed through everything. You know, you spray through this little hole in here and it comes out of the jet. You spray in the jet, it comes out of that hole, and vice versa, and this hole, and it's going in and out everywhere it should. So I don't think we're going to have an issue there. I'm going to repair this wire. I'm going to put the float bowl back together, which I am very happy that that little piece of stuff that was in there was actually a chunk of dirt that fell off into there. It wasn't the gasket. The gasket is complete. No issues there. So we're going to clean this up a little bit more just so none of that debris and dirt falls back into here by chance when we put it back in. And we're going to put it back together and keep our fingers crossed. So if you see on that red wire right here and right here, there's little teeny tabs that stick out. So those were almost flat, probably from being worn. You can also see right here where the sheathing on the wire is opened up from the bend on the wire from factory securing it with a zip tie. So I mean, we want to secure it with a zip tie, but I'm probably going to do it a little different. That way you know, it doesn't cause as much stress on that cable, as well as we want to make sure when we secure it any way different that it's not touching the machine where it's going to be hot and melt the wires. So I pull those tabs out with this pick slightly. Got to be careful that you don't break them, and I'm going to put it back inside this connector, and it should clip now and stay secure. And it did. I put the wire in. You could hear a slight audible click as it went in, and now when I pull on it, it doesn't come out anymore. So we're good there. I'm going to put the float bowl back on. Always inspect your gasket that's here on your fuel shut-off solenoid, and we're going to put it back together. So you can see, rather than securing the cable, the wires to here with the cable tie where the nut is, I secured it here with the cable tie. It's completely out of the way. It's secure. That's not going anywhere. That is perfectly good. Okay. The wire is good. It's in there properly. And you know, when I put the float bowl on, put the solenoid in by hand, all the way as tight as we could by hand. Then I took the wrench inside there and I tightened it up. Now this part in the bottom here does spin. It rotates. Okay. You can move this. So when you tighten the bowl down and you tighten that solenoid down, and if this electric portion happens to be facing out this way, all you have to do is grab it and just spin it to that direction. So now we're going to put the fuel line back on and put the airbox cover, airbox on, and blow out the air filter and get the airbox cover back on, and I'm going to start it up. Just a couple things to keep note of. Make sure when you reassemble it, you put this breather hose back on, and be sure that the upper, bigger breather hose goes into that valve cover properly. And always inspect your routing on anything that you do, and make sure it's the same or at least securely done. And this part of the airbox, little tab that goes right here, goes in between here and the top of this engine cover here. So it goes right in the middle. Then you have the two nuts to put on here, which I just hand tighten those right now. I still have to secure it down with a socket, and install the upper bolt here. Goes right down in here, and then we'll put the cover back on. All right, here's a moment of truth. See what happens. Oh, my battery's a little low too here. Come on, get to. running. It's still running out there now. It's been running for about 2 minutes at idle. Seems to be running real well. So I'm going to go mow the lawn, see what happens, but I think we did it. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. And I probably had a couple of issues with it. Definitely had a dirty carburetor. You could see from inside the bowl, the water, the sediment, all that stuff is no good. You got to keep that out of there, keep that clean. And it definitely had an issue with that the fuel shut-off wire where that thing was coming loose. So hey, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Hopefully it'll last a bunch of years now again without me having to take it apart. If not, then we'll do it again. But thanks for watching. Hope to catch you on the next one.